Welcome to the Nourished Brain podcast, where we focus on mindfulness-based whole foods nutrition and the art of empowered eating to optimize health, mood, energy, and nutritional well-being. I'm Ferreira, an integrative and functionally minded registered dietitian and owner of Mindfully Nourished Solutions. Let's get you nourished. The SMILES trial, an acronym for Supporting the Modification of Lifestyle in Lowered Emotional States, was a 12-week parallel group, single-blind, randomized control trial, which looked at the impact of 7 individual nutrition counseling sessions delivered by a clinical dietitian trained in the study protocol. The SMILES trial looked at whether a modified Mediterranean-style diet, termed the MADI-MED diet, could improve depression scores over the course of just a few short months, as compared to a social support control group. Those in the diet group received tailored guidance, as well as recipes, shopping lists, and support for goal setting. Before the trial began, the diets of study participants looked very similar to the standard American diet, meaning low in many micronutrients, low in dietary fiber, low in fruit and vegetable intake, and higher with intake of sweets, processed meats, and salty snacks. The MADI-MED diet was based off of a traditional Mediterranean diet designed using the dietary guidelines for adults in Greece and Mediterranean diet principles from PREDIMED. The study diet carried an emphasis on whole, nutrient-dense foods with extras, otherwise described as sweets, processed meats, cereals, limited to less than 3 times per week. Nuts, leafy greens, tomatoes, olive oil, some dairy were all included daily, with fatty fish, legumes, and lean red meat included regularly throughout the week. It's interesting that researchers chose to include moderate consumption of lean red meat. And my hunch is that the rationale, in part, is the leaning in nutritional psychiatry research toward improvements in depression and anxiety outcomes with higher bioavailable iron, zinc, and vitamin B12, all found in higher amounts in red meat, and all nutrients which are crucial for optimal mental health. In a group, for instance, of premenopausal women, a non-vegetarian diet was shown to lead to absorption of 6 times more total iron compared to a lacto-ovo vegetarian diet. So here's the breakdown for those of you who are very nutrition-minded. The SMILES diet was designed to provide 40% of calories as fat, with over 50% from monounsaturated fat. So 50% of the 40% from monounsaturated fats. Think olive oil, nuts, avocado. About 36% carbohydrates, 18% protein, and about 50 grams of fiber per day, which is about double of what most Americans are recommended to consume. And the diet also had a high antioxidant and vitamin C content and was analyzed as meeting all recommended dietary intake and adequate intake requirements. So what happened? The results over a 12-week intervention period were quite promising. The primary study outcome was looking at remission from depression as defined by a sustained drop in the Montgomery-Åsberg Depression Rating Scale, the MADRS, to under a score of 10. When two groups were compared, both the intervention, the diet group, and the control group, the remission rate from depressive symptoms in the intervention group was significantly greater. The remission rate from depressive symptoms in the intervention group was 32.3%, where the remission rate from depressive symptoms in the control group was 8%. As a secondary outcome, changes in levels of anxiety symptoms were measured using the Hospital Anxiety and Depression Scale, HADS. A decrease in the anxiety subscale of HADS was also seen during this 12-week intervention trial. In summary, if you're thinking about strategies for shifting your diet to improve overall well-being and mood, give this Mahdi Mediterranean diet a closer look. You can find more information at my website at www.sarahferreirard.com. Again, sarahferreirard.com. Talk to you next time. Sarah here, owner of Mindfully Nourished Solutions. It's my goal with this podcast to explore strategies for empowered and well-informed food and eating decisions. If this information has been supportive to you, please head over to iTunes to rate this episode and to leave a review about what was most helpful. To learn more about how food is impacting the way you feel on a day-to-day basis, head over to my website at mindfullynourishedSolutions.com for a copy of my free food mood journal. See you next time.